Hey, RetconRaider here. With special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible. Including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, Dragon Matrix 7, Eerie V23, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Lima, Nathan Welch Jr., Tomasz, Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, as we hopefully get the last of our initial business wrapped up in Drezen and get ourselves back out in the field. Granted, there is more we can do around town, especially with the councils being formed and whatnot, but I am getting a little antsy. It would be nice to pop back out and stretch our legs a bit. Maybe track down an errant Walgif or two. This will be a fairly brief outing, just for maybe 5 days, long enough to get that engineering guild up and running. But with any luck, that should be more than enough time to wet our blades, and possibly find some nice loot in the process. Anyway, I did end up doing some shopping off-screen. We couldn't afford much just yet, but I did pick up 2 particularly choice items that caught my eye. First, we have the Glass Amulet of Clarity, which is a nice, straightforward upgrade for Ember. That grants a +2 bonus on all of her mind-affecting hexes, up from the +1 she gets from her current amulet, while simultaneously making her more resistant to such effects. I will note, I was warned against taking this item. Apparently it was broken when the game first launched, but they have since fixed it. According to the patch notes, it was fixed last month. So in theory, it should work properly with Ember's hexes now. Then we also purchased the Gloves of the Ambassador, which grant a +5 competence bonus on World Knowledge, Persuasion, and an extra +2 Charisma, which, of course, went to Darren. That bumps up his World Knowledge to acceptable levels, so he can now actually reasonably pass those checks, especially the brewing and cooking checks while we're camping. And then, of course, he's also our primary Persuasion character, so he'll get full benefit from the Persuasion boost. And we do currently have his head slot occupied with the Phylactery of Positive Channeling. So that +2 Charisma is just a welcome bonus. And then, of course, we also purchased those weird goggles for Arue'd, the ones that grant +10 Perception and stack additional debuffs on her range crits. Anyway, let's have a chat with Arue'd, get to know her a bit better. Then we'll see how we're doing on time. Arueshalae's ruby eyes stare watchfully at passers-by, who don't notice her even at arm's length. She turns to you, her face a mixture of contemplation, sadness, and admiration. They're amazing, aren't they? Yeah, they sure are. What are we talking about? I'm just watching, she explains, nodding at the city dwellers as they hurry past. I'm listening to their conversations, studying their faces. I'm trying to understand what they truly are. Oh, okay. And you don't think that's a little weird? What? The succubus blinks, surprised. Really? Why? I don't mean any harm. I'm sure you're fine. So why are you doing this? You know, in my old life, I thought I knew everything about them. I was a master of seduction, after all. I knew how to tempt a mortal into doing anything I required. I could trap them in a lie, or lie myself and never get caught. It's disgusting to remember, but that was my life for many centuries. Now I see I knew nothing. A demon warrior probably also considers himself an expert on mortals, because he's killed so many of them. He certainly knows where to thrust a spear for a quick death, and where to thrust it for a long and painful one. and he thinks that's enough. My knowledge, it was of the same kind. I ruined many mortals without learning the first thing about them. Now I watch them to understand them. This won't give my victims back their lives, of course, but still. By growing closer to these mortals, it's like I'm paying back some part of my debt to my victims' memories. I see. And what have you figured out so far? They love cats. Arueshalae speaks in a very serious manner, as if sharing an important scientific discovery with you. But then, a moment later, she smiles to give the joke away. What joke? I don't get it. She's 1,000,000% correct. Well, aside from the cat thing, have you figured out anything else? I wouldn't want to draw any rash conclusions. I've only been watching them for a short while, but I think I have understood one thing. The succubi have a saying, mortals always lie. If a mortal isn't talking, it means she's busy lying to herself. But now I see this isn't true. You mortals aren't liars, you're dreamers. Each of you creates a huge daydream for yourself, and everyone you share your life with. It isn't exactly a lie, because the daydream is your truth. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be somewhat accurate. People do tend to filter everything through their own perceptual lens to reshape and reframe everything. Hey, you mind if I ask you some other stuff while I've got you here? Of course. But forgive me if I don't have any answers. So, apparently we're being attacked by some sort of super demons. Like normal demons, but super. Any idea about where they're coming from or how they're being made? Arueshalae thinks for a long while. Finally, she answers hesitantly. Back in Aleutianera, there were rumors about terrible experiments that Baphomet and Discari performed on their troops to make them stronger. Here on the material plane, these rumors were embellished with lots of details. Some say the demons undergo rituals acquired from Zon-Kuthon. Others say they feed on the blood of angels, or Qlipoths, or demon lords. Still others say there are no experiments, and Baphomet is just bringing back fighters from the future. A future in which the demons have already taken all of Golarion. Ooh, that would be cool. Though somehow I doubt that is actually the case. Is there a grain of truth to any of these ramblings? There's no way to know. Naturally, none of these rumors give any indication where these demons come from. I'm sorry I can't help. The only thing that's clear is that the lowly fighters in the Army of the Abyss are just as puzzled by this as we are. Okay, so nothing solid there, but some potential leads. So, Aru, you mind if I ask some questions about you? I'm afraid you won't like what I'm going to tell you. I don't know about that. So you're a succubi. What's the deal with that? How does one become a succubi? Are you born that way, or? No. Well, yes, but in brief, the Abyss is nothing like the mortal world. Arueshalae makes a gesture in the air, trying to find the right words. You remember life since conception. No, wait, you don't remember that part, do you? But certainly you know everything since birth. We do not. Normally, when a human dies, the Lady of Graves decides which plane they go to. Most often, those who arrive in the Abyss turn into larvae. You know, the little worms no one notices until you step on them. They crawl in the mud for centuries, devouring each other, and the strongest ones turn into demons. I don't know how that transformation happens. Maybe we hatch out of them, like caterpillars out of a butterfly. No, wait, it's the other way around. Or maybe greater demons sculpt us out of them, like so much clay? I don't know what happened to the larvae that they used to make me. In my own memory, it begins with vague, fragmentary images. Terrors, executions, orgies. I remember some poor lad, half gnawed by the larvae. He was crying and begging to be killed. And I pointed at him and laughed and said I wouldn't. Desna, forgive me. I'm so ashamed. Yeah, I hate that. So why'd you switch sides anyway? Why'd you turn against your demonic brethren? Temptation. Arueshalae smiles sadly. Strange, isn't it? So many people believe that being good is important, but it's boring and unpleasant, and all that's enjoyable and tempting pertains to evil. Even the servants of kind gods often think so, do they not? You have no idea how easy that makes the role of a temptress. Well, it was my great fortune to discover that it's not always like that. Arueshalae looks away. My last victim was a priestess of Desna, the tender of dreams. As you know, demons do not sleep. Mortals always compare their greatest moments to dreams. So I decided it would be interesting to see for myself. And while I was at it, forgive me, goddess, to mock Desna. This priestess lay in my arms, dying of my kiss. I remember every smallest detail. The cold sweat on her skin, her eyes rolled back into her head, her weak whisper. It's so difficult to recount. Well, I dove into her mind to see what mortal dreams were like. But the goddess saw me in her realm, and it turned out I remained there far longer than I had planned. Why? What did she do to you? As punishment, she gave me mercy. I often think, why me? She could easily have blown me away like smoke, with the flick of her finger. The gods rarely trouble themselves with the lives of mortals, and even less so with demons. But for reasons of her own, she paid me special attention. She awoke the memories of the sinners whose souls were used to create me. All those humans, I knew nothing of them until Desna showed me. Each of them had their own dreams, and a world without pity trampled each of them and placed them on the path that led to the abyss. Their memories, all their hopes and pain. I'm sorry, it's hard for me to talk about this. You see tears well up in the succubus's eyes. Arueshalae wipes away her tears and continues. The most important thing I realized was that every mortal is a little world of hopes and dreams, and that although I might be a succubus, I didn't have to live forever with those beastly, boring pleasures and tortures of the abyss. I can be free. I can be myself. If only I can understand who I am. Who you are? What do you mean by that? One of you. Do you know who you are? Yeah, Vex Gottlieb. That's Kaz. Are there many mortals who can make that claim? Before returning me to the mortal realm, Desna whispered something to me. I can still hear her words. She asked me, "And what do you dream of?" And I don't know. I still don't. You see, demons are simple creatures. Arueshalae purses her lips. Each is guided by 2 or 3 strong sins. Before my conversion, my sins were all I was. A ball of desire without anyone behind them doing the desiring. Desires for sex, for flattery, and food. But now I have me, and it's amazing, but it's so complicated. Arueshalae makes an apologetic gesture and smiles. This is fascinating. So what did you do after that, after your experience with Desna? I traveled. In the beginning, I thought it was wise to keep away from demons and their temptations. Run off to Absalom, or perhaps even further, to another plane. But then I realized that I didn't deserve freedom yet. The abyss was still in me. It called to me, tempting me. seducing me. If I ran away, I would soon return to my old habits. Arueshalae forces the word from her mouth. That is why I came here to join the war. To remember who my enemy is. To defeat the demons, not just for the mortal world, but for myself as well. Because if I don't kill my past, it will always be reaching for me. I'm a wonderful liar. I'm no longer proud of it, but it's still true. The demons never suspected my treason until the very end. I lived as a spy and regularly reported back to the priests of Desna whatever I learned. Naturally, I concealed my identity from them as well. I would never have been caught, but when I learned that Discari was planning on attacking Canabris, there was no time for caution. I risked everything to warn you, and paid with my freedom. Wow, so even in a place like the Abyss, you managed to find a way to buck the system, break the rules, and forge a path of your own by joining the army. Not bad, kid. I respect that. Well, I'm not exactly marching in the infantry, Arueshalae smiles. Your operations bear little resemblance to battle by the laws of warfare. Yeah, I can't imagine why. So I'm assuming you're now a follower of Desna? The goddess did a lot for me, more than I ever deserved. Asking anything more of her would be impudent. I'm grateful to her, but I try not to trouble her with my prayers. Oh. Well, that is slightly unexpected. Hey, thanks for the answers, Aru. I appreciate it. I hope they didn't upset you too much. At least, not as much as they upset me. Well, now you're just depressing me. Hey, do you mind if I ask some more personal questions about, stuff that a guy like me might want to know about a gal like you? You want to talk about sex? Arueshalae looks you in the eye. Ask me anything. I'll not keep secrets from you. But don't expect to hear anything lighthearted or pleasant. Yeah, fair enough. So a succubi's kiss is also deadly. It's not just going all the way. Not just kissing. Any caress of any kind sucks the life from mortals. And there's nothing I can do about it. Arueshalae touches her lips ever so slightly. For mortals, tenderness is tenderness, and violence is violence. But I don't know what it's like to kiss and not inflict pain. I just hope my observations of mortals will help me understand. Young lovers, old spouses, even what mortals condemn as promiscuity. To me, it all looks like something amazingly human. Man, this did not go in the direction I was expecting it to at all. And it's funny to finally see what is obviously our in for a, flirtation route. But, man, much like with Soso, I just don't know if I would be comfortable trying to hit on her after everything we've just been talking about. So, wait. You're saying that you also watch people when they're doing intimate things in private? Well, I never touch anyone. I never harm anyone. I just watch and listen. Is that bad? No. It's probably fine. Just, try not to get caught. I can promise you that. The succubus smiles. Great. So what is it like with, demons? Everything demons do is a sort of cannibalism. Each devours mortals and other demons in their own way. Some enjoy literally tearing off pieces of flesh with their teeth. Others like to subdue and turn their prey into slaves and living tools. Some feed on others' humiliation. It comes in different forms, but the essence is always the same. Another being is an object to be used for your own pleasure. You know, I am suddenly feeling pretty good about not hooking up with Socks, our good friend Sakathbanath. As much fun as that might have been. Demon sex doesn't differ from any other type of violence. In my former life, it was something I did to others, or others did to me. Only one person ever received pleasure, not the other. And do you still feel those urges? Arueshalae keeps a long silence as she searches for the right words. You see, on the one hand, my succubus nature remains with me. I feel the desire I feel is one of my old life. When I look at any mortal, I immediately imagine how... She looks away. But that feeling, that desire, it's not what mortals feel. When you look at someone, you don't ponder how good it would feel to drink their soul, do you? Sometimes. You think about how good it would feel to be together. Together, you see? You know how to want someone, and at the same time not want to destroy them? For me, it's always one and the same. True despair rings in Arueshalae's voice. I'm not even talking about love, just the common mutual affection of mortals, when they're not poisoned with violence. Now I know that I've never felt it. It's hard to imagine how it's even possible. Hey, chin up, kid. I'm sure you'll figure it out, right? Love's complicated. But you'll get there. I hope so. It's just that... She brings her hand to her chest. I don't deserve it. Who would dare love a predator from the abyss who, by her very nature, is unable to return those feelings? This is interesting. Arueshalae's romance path looks like it would be fascinating. Not at all what I was expecting, but still fascinating. I suppose the bigger question would be, is it a good fit for the trickster path or for someone like Vex? We'll soft pedal it for now. We'll see where it goes. Like I said, I'm sure you'll figure it out. Just give it time. Thank you. It is hard for me to imagine right now, but I still can hope. Hey, no problem. Thanks for being so forthcoming about all this. Arueshalae nods without saying a word. So do you mind if I ask you some more general questions about the Abyss? I can't tell you about all of the Abyss. I've only seen a small part. If you like, I can tell you about the Midnight Isles and Eleusinera. Yeah, that's fine. Tell me about the Midnight Isle. In the ocean of Ishiar, not far from the mouth of the river Styx, there is a chain of islands. This is the realm of Nocticula, the queen of the succubi. There is no sun there, only a moonlit night, alternating with a moonless one. Each of the islands is one of Nocticula's trophies, the remains of a powerful entity that perished at her hands. As you see, you cannot take a step in the abyss without treading on corpses. Cool. Sounds like a great place. And Eleusinera? The Porphyry City is Nocticula's capital. There's no city like it in the mortal world. Absalom is a village in comparison. Millions, I don't exaggerate, millions of demons and mortals live there. Which does make sense. There's a lot of dead people, and demons are made of dead people. Some of them voluntarily, not only from Golarion, but from other planes as well. Nocticula keeps an open boundary, and enjoys having many guests, merchants, and travelers in the city. Some arrive in chains. The slave trade is the most thriving business in the city. From afar, the city may seem a merry place. Many of its dwellers do enjoy themselves, until it's their turn to become someone else's toy. It's a city of suffering, Vex, of cheerful, festive torments that everyone in the city inflicts on those around them. It sounds just lovely. So what are the highlights? Are there any good tourist spots? The heart of the business quarter is the flesh markets, where the slave trade takes place. I grew up in the mansion of Lady Valexia. Her house is always filled with guests doing their best to entertain her. Those whose performances are not to her liking risk remaining at her house forever. The main attraction of the Succubi City is, of course, the brothels, the 10,000 delights. I need not tell you what they offer. If you can imagine it, someone is selling it. Not far from there you can find the Harem of Ardent Dreams, which serves as a sort of city hall. Shamira, Nocticula's right hand and mayor of Elutionera, receives her visitors there. We're getting a lot of name drops here, a lot of very specific details. This feels relevant. Especially now that we have Sox, Nocticula's brother, literally hiding in our closet. For those who prefer bloodier sport, there are many arenas in the city. The most famous of them is Battle Bliss. Battles run continuously, without breaks and without rules. It doesn't matter what trickery you use to win, it only matters how much fun the crowd is having. And above it all towers the House of Silken Shadows, Nocticula's palace. Hundreds, thousands of towers and domes adorned with jewels. There are legends of what happens inside. Many have striven to experience the delights of the Succubi Queen's palace, forgetting that it was built for her pleasure, not theirs. So what can you tell me about this Nocticula? I tried asking another guy, but he didn't want to talk about it. She's called the Lady in Shadow. They say she was the first succubus. She's far from the most powerful of the demon lords, but this hasn't kept her from being the ruin of many creatures significantly more powerful than herself, even building her kingdom upon their bones. They say that, like Lamashtu, she strives to turn herself from a demon lord into a true goddess. She enjoys killing, but her favorite tools are seduction and deception. She only stoops to crude violence when there are no other games to play, and even then she backstabs from the shadows. Her favorite weapon is a crossbow, though a silk garrote would suit her better. If you should ever meet her, do not believe a word she says, and do not fall for her provocations. Do not try to beat her at her own game. And most importantly, remember, the worst mistake anyone can make is to underestimate her. Yes, I will keep that in mind. I imagine it will be very, very pertinent at some point. Thanks, Arue'd. I'll be happy if it helps. So what do you think about the powers I gave you? Pretty cool, huh? It's a great temptation. I don't know if I should be trusted with such power. I certainly wouldn't trust myself with it. When you have so much power, it's easy to decide you're a god, and that mortals are your toys. Fair. Perhaps I should wait until after we defeat the forces of the Abyss. But that's precisely what these powers are for. She thinks for a moment, then speaks softly. You take a great risk. I'm not sure I can handle the temptation. It's hard enough as it is. Oh, whoa, phrasing. Arue'd. You were doing so well, too. Okay, well, Arue'd, it has been interesting and fascinating and mildly inappropriate, but we should do this again sometime. I like this. This was nice. I am curious about her romance path. I'm not sure that we'll ultimately end up pursuing it all the way, but I would like to kind of soft pedal it for a while, like I said, and just see how it unfolds. But I'm sure, as with most CRPGs, there will come a point probably towards endgame, where we will have to lock down which romance path we want to finish with. We'll see where we're at once we get there. Anyway, that's it for Arue'd. Though that did take more time than I anticipated. We're pushing the half-hour mark here, which is slightly further along than I would have liked. Though, I mean, I don't regret it. I liked talking to her, and there was a lot of useful information in there. I imagine most of that stuff about the Midnight Isles and Elutionera and Nocticula will come in handy at some point. That said, we do still have a handful of folks I'd like to check in on. But you know what? I don't think any of that is terribly pressing at this specific moment. So yeah, let's hit the pause button. I'm gonna do some quick spot checks to make sure we're ready for our outing, and we'll just jump out into the field, do some Crusade stuff, do some adventuring, and we'll worry about the rest of these guys the next time we happen to pass through Drezen. We'll be right back. And we're back. Didn't have too much to do, just some inventory shuffling, dropping a few things off, grabbing a drink. And I did pop by the strategy board and do some slight rearranging on our recruiting buildings. It turns out that apparently adjacency bonuses only count orthogonally. They do not work on diagonals like I was assuming they did. I wish they made that clearer, but not a big deal. It was an easy enough fix. Of slightly more pressing concern, however, is the large number of enemy armies and fortifications we are currently surrounded with. That will somewhat limit our maneuvering until we can start clearing all those out. I'm also not entirely sure where we're heading just yet. The only main story location we have on our map right now is Wintersun, which is where our patrol went missing, not to be confused with the missing scouts, who are a separate thing. So let's start by just mapping out some of these paths and knocking out some of these easier armies. Give ourselves a little breathing room immediately around Drezen. Then we can figure things out from there. Ruins of Ashbury Hamlet. That's new. The residents of this village were famous for their hospitality and skill as craftsmen. All the surrounding land celebrated the berries, sweets, and wooden utensils that could be bought here. Then the demons surrounded the village and feasted for 3 weeks, entertaining themselves with elaborate tortures. The villagers died in pain, cursing the Crusaders who never came to help them. I guess we must have missed that before, because that is in the area where Act 2 took place. You know what? I think we might start by checking that out. I am curious. That would also put us right near the camp where Krenuk is hanging out, and I would like to pay him a visit now that we're into Act 3. But before we do that, let's knock out some of these guys. That'll net us some extra loot and clear some paths once we're ready to start heading west. Wait. Oh, I see. I guess I should have taken the lower path back at the fork. I assumed they'd reconnect. Also, we spotted the Temple of the Good Hunt. An old Sarkorian temple of Erastil. Well, hello there! And we're done. After your supremely hard-fought victory, warriors have discovered what attracted such a horde of monsters. An impressive ambulant laboratory belonging to some insane alchemist. The laboratory had been mercilessly plundered, and the jars of elixirs and ingredients bore sinister holes through which the hideous creatures had consumed their contents, like some exquisite nectar. Luckily, some of the alchemist's inventory survived, and now belongs to the Crusaders. Which nets us energy, very nice. That will come in handy once we're ready to set up our teleportation network. Ooh, income upgrade. See, that's the sort of thing we should prioritize right now. Rewards that'll pay off more if we get them early. Though, I mean, knocking out those fortresses is a close second priority, since those will actually block our party's movement. Let's find our way out towards Ashbury Hamlet. We could loop around to the south, follow the already established trail. It would put us right next to the inconspicuous camp. Though I don't think I want to do that today. We've already spent a lot of time talking. So I would like to get some fighting in. Yeah, I think that's like our tertiary priority right now, is to just fill out all these routes. The unexplored chunks of map. That'll make things a lot easier in the long run, too. Also, apparently Vex is tired, poor guy. But he'll have to suck it up, because we're going in anyway. On a slightly more serious note, I have to hit him with a full restore anyway, so that'll conveniently wipe out the fatigue as well.
Oh, the waiting's never fun.
Okay, let's hit the pause button real quick. I'll do some restores and healing, clear up all these debuffs, rearrange our hotbars, and then toss out a full round of buffs. This is our first outing in quite a while, so I want to make sure we cover all our bases here. Alright, I think we're good now. In fact, I may have actually overdone it a little on the buffs, but I figure we might as well be going strong right out the gate. Besides, we'll have to rest frequently while we're traveling the world map, so this stuff will reset pretty quickly. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Here's our ruins. Oh, Ancient Sarkorian Ghost. I know that name. Owlcat Games ran a permadeath challenge, which I declined to participate in, but I did keep track of it. And as I recall, that thing knocked 2 players out of the running. So maybe I actually underdid it on the buffs. But, of course, we are not playing on permadeath. We do have the benefit of backup saves, the latest one being right before we came in here. So I see no reason we can't give this a run. I guess we'll just try to blitz it. No brilliant strategies are springing to mind. Oh, okay. Hey, we got some solid hits in there. That's good. I also just realized I forgot to set up Beast's Gift. I'll have to try to remember that in the future. Shoot, did I not give her a... I could have sworn I gave Ember a Rod of Reach. Alright, we'll just go for Fire Snake instead. That one's an auto hit anyway. Meh. We'll take it. Hey, careful with the indiscriminate friendly fire there, please. Vex, thanks for coming. That's right, let's just get all those critical misses out of the way now. That way we won't have to deal with them later, probably. I'm certainly not complaining about that.
Retreat is not an option.
Yeah, aside from Zorm's initial approach, we are not doing great here. You know, it's funny, there is actually a trickster ability, I think World Knowledge 2, which converts natural 1s into natural 20s. That's on my maybe list, but stuff like this does make me give it some serious consideration. Oh. Corpulent Spectre. And there goes our entire back line. Okay, well, we're already into it. We'll just keep swinging. The Corpulent Spectres are dangerous, but we took out a couple of those back in Drezen. So we'll just keep focusing on the big guy first. That's like a level 8 spell. And we've got a crit storm. Thank you for that, Zorm. Blessed be the mighty Zorm, bringer of the dread crit storm. I guess technically the whole crit storm thing that I've leaned into is another good reason to seriously consider that mythic trick. That's really what it comes down to with this run. There are a lot of mythic tricks that are just really good, but then there are others that are really fun, but less good. And I kind of want to focus on the fun ones, you know? Oh, wow, that was close. A single round in that Rift of Ruin almost killed both of our backline casters. I can definitely see how this would have wiped out a couple of the permadeath competitors. But yeah, I like the intimidation and the mobility routes, because they are hilarious to me. And I'm hoping they'll get some really entertaining results. The burned out husk of a traditional Sarkorian house. No houses like this have been built for a century. So we didn't actually get anything from the Ancient Sark, no drops. We'll have to make sure we give this place a good once-over. There has to be something nice here. Greatsword. That's no good to us. Lustrous Blade. +2 Mithril Greatsword. On hit, enemy must pass a Fortitude save or be blinded for 1 round. I do like on-hit abilities, but we don't use greatswords, and that is a pretty mediocre savings throw. Also not really sure what the benefit of having a mithril greatsword is. I guess it would be lighter, but that's just a difference of 4 pounds. Yeah, that's pretty much sales fodder. Which is fine, I guess. 8,000 gold is 8,000 gold. And I guess that's it. Okay, well. One optional world boss down. 8,000 gold and a fistful of XP in the bank. Moving on. Alright, let's start pushing towards the inconspicuous camp. There's our fatigue. Knew that was coming. Oh, and look at that. We failed a perception check to spot something on the map. I think we get another check every time we gain a level, so we'll have to come back by here later. But to be fair, it might just be like an ingredient harvesting node or something. They're not all enterable dungeon locations. Okay, we're into a new day. Army MP should be reset. And we have some pending Crusade events. Let's check that out. Right. That's our councils. 3 of them anyway. But we do have some other stuff here. Arue'd wants to talk. The Blackstone Mercenary Company has arrived. Their captain, Sailkind, seeks an audience. Ah, and the next door theater wants a word. I've always got time for those guys. Forming a military council. Yes, we want that. We'll get that started right away. There's the result of our giant event. And as expected, it does indeed boost our material income. It also nets us a fair chunk of logistics XP. That's welcome. It is a little on the pricey side. But yeah, we'll get that going at some point. Raid for plunder. This one sounds more appealing. That's an even heftier initial investment, but a much bigger immediate payout. So we'll get that going as soon as possible. Oh yeah, let's get this going too. We need that for the main quest. Then after that, we'll start studying the Sword of Valor. They're deliberately vague on what that would actually do, which gives me the impression it's very important for something in the future. We'll also get Army 3 and Army 1 squished together. In the future, reinforcements will appear in Drezen, so it won't be as much of an ordeal. Though combining them now would limit our movement this turn. And I would like to take out at least 1 or 2 more armies. You know what? We'll go ahead and combine them now. Gotta find more rangers. And we'll pull Army 2 back towards Drezen. Their main job will be to protect the city from incursions. Though I'm not sure exactly when that starts happening. Back to the main party, who need to get some rest. We do not have any scribers in the party right now, so we'll just do without. Sorry, but you've got no chance. There's no way you'll last longer than me. I'm just more experienced. You have to accept it. No, wait. It looks so easy. You take a spoon, hang it off the tip of your nose. I don't understand. Why does it always fall off? Really, guys? 2 rangers in the party, and this is what they do with their time. Oh, not quite enough to get us into a new day. We'll just wiggle around a little. There we go. To arms! Yes, yes, very scary. Here you go. Hey, you lived. Good for you. Oh, that's a heftier stack of ghouls than I realized. That's fine. Huzzah! Really? Okay, that's fine. It is fine. The damage is inconsequential. Not too shabby. Slightly messy, but nothing to worry about. Evidently, demons had taken a liking to the place, and had been using it as a sacrificial site for quite a long time. A dagger, presumably used for killing innocents, was found plunged into the center of the ritual symbol. Edge of Force. +2 Cold Iron Dagger. Whenever the wielder of this dagger casts a Force spell, it deals additional +2 Force damage per die rolled. Not bad. Again, not really well suited for our crew. I think Nenio would be the main one who'd actually gain any benefit from that, but we can still get some use out of a +2 Cold Iron Dagger. There's our military council. That's all 4. And a new event. Frenemies. A conflict between 2 officers has led to a defeat in a skirmish with demons. One of the officers, a charming young noble, tried saving the lives of the soldiers. The other, a cynical veteran mercenary, acted based on the principle that victory is all that matters. The soldiers from each unit blamed the other unit's officer for the defeat. How should the investigators arbitrate the guilty parties? Let's look at our options here. Punish them both for leadership. Punish the aristocrat for morale, which we don't need. Punish the veteran mercenary for finance. Interesting. Or reconcile the officers, which would boost our recruitment growth for 30 days. Though obviously we get more immediate rewards from these other options. Finances would be nice. But at the same time, I'm trying to think of how Vex would approach this. And I think Vex would probably tell them to get over themselves and work it out. Which is pretty close to reconciling, I guess. Social is convinced that both officers have something to learn from each other. Following his advice, the investigators sent out the two of them on a mission together. They came back as good comrades in arms. Their units have been performing in harmony ever since, and the fame of the two great commanders has been drawing in new recruits. Need a torpedo. And we are down here, so I guess we'll hit these guys next. Or not? What in the world? These roads are weird. Alright, well, I mean, all the more reason to get these things mapped out. That'll make future travel easier to plot. Exsellsior! Victory! A winner is us. A gang of cutthroats who sold their conscience for demon gold has been destroyed. Their chief, the battle-hardened, scar-ridden mercenary laden with valuable artifacts, is hanging in the noose. The trophies he received for murder will come in useful for the Crusade. Bracers of Heavy Hand. The wearer of these bracers gains a +3 bonus on damage with offhand weapons when dual-wielding or wielding a two-handed melee weapon. Interesting. And we just happen to have 2 dual-wielding characters in our party. 3 once we get Waljet back. Though Vex's bracer slot is tied up with the lucky bracers, and I have been told that those are important and I shouldn't lose track of them. As for, Regil, okay. The righteous bracers are a +1 on all attacks. The heavy bracers are +3 on his offhand. There's some possibilities there. I will think on this. I mean, I might just give it to Waljet. I think normally I have him rocking bracers of AC, just for convenience. But those are kind of redundant, given that he can also do Mythic Extended Mage Armor. Alright, let's knock these last guys out, then we'll call it a day. Rude. And that's the Brox. Defeating the horde of flying monsters swooping from the sky, many Crusaders got thinking that the battle tactics they know are not always suited to demon confrontation. With every new battle, the army gains invaluable experience, and soldiers are eager to learn, for their lives depend on it. You'd really think they would have learned that after the multiple attacks on our main camp, but sure, why not? Okay. Yeah, I think this brings us to a good place to pause it. We're not too far from these guys, so we might knock them out next time. And that will clear the road to Winter Sun, I think. No, we'll have to circle back the other way there. I'd also like to clear out that spot just north of Drezen so our party can kind of poke at it before we head back. Regardless, we will hit the pause button for now. I'll do a little off-screen bookkeeping, and we will pick up here next time, as we catch up with Krenuk and maybe knock out a few more armies. Then I suppose we should probably start heading back towards Drezen. We've got 4 councils waiting for orders, so we should probably do the whole commander thing. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official social media feeds, or the official store pages. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon. Links are in the description.
Speak with your actions, not your words.